We live in interesting times for the headlines. Abuse, threats, protests, and police cordons. Candidates campaigning for this weekend's district elections in Hong Kong say that has been a dangerous business in the white heat of the city's political crisis. The death toll from violent unrest in Chile rose to 23 as the country entered its fifth week of social unrest. The resource-rich Pacific archipelago of Bougainville is holding landmark referendum on independence from Papua New Guinea, a vote that could create the world's newest nation. And features from around the world from our EBC bureaus. I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us. And now to the news. Abuse, threats, protests, and police cordons. First-time candidate Kwan Chilean says campaigning for this weekend's district elections in Hong Kong has been a dangerous business in the white heat of the city's political crisis. Polling stations are due to open across Hong Kong on Sunday morning as the semi-autonomous city of 7.5 million votes for district councillors in a ballot seen as a gauge of the popularity of Chief Executive Carrie Lam and the pro-Beijing government. In normal times, district elections are tame, hyper-local affairs dominated by candidates allied to the China-backed government with a remit over rubbish collections and planning decisions. But with protests coursing through the city, pro-democracy candidates are hoping for a dramatic swing in their favor. The protest movement needs a big turnout. It was 47% the last time around in 2015 to give the unpopular government a bloody nose at the ballot box. The signs point in their favor with 4.1 million Hong Kongers registering to vote, nearly 400,000 more than in 2015. There are no disruptive actions planned so far for Sunday, while a how to cast vote airdrop is urging young voters to turn up early, bring their ID, and avoid wearing black shirts and masks or accidentally spoiling ballots. In a city beset by violence, candidate Kwan says he has tried to tiptoe around the conflicting political opinions.
咁但係 so far 就好彩都冇乜點樣暴力嘅情況發生，最多都係試過一兩次係即係啲粗口鬧你啊，或者係走埋嚟撥走呢啲單張啊咁樣嘅事啫。我覺得即係深受感動，覺得喂咁我就自己做唔到話去前線衝，咁係咪都有啲嘢我哋可以喺後邊做嘅咧？例如話係選舉上有冇機會係攞到啲議席、攞到嘅資源，都可以最尾係幫翻可能甚至一啲被捕嘅年輕人啊，或者用議員嘅身份係咪可以去壓迫到政府係做一啲改變？可以控制到警察嘅暴力，可以唔好再咁猖狂。
By contrast, members of the city's legislature are elected by a combination of popular vote and industry groups stacked with Beijing loyalists, while the city's chief executive is chosen by a similarly pro-establishment committee. This year, it's a kind of referendum on the Hong Kong government's handling of the riots over the extradition bill, democracy, and the conflicts between people and the police, according to political analyst Dixon Singh. The political unrest of recent months has overshadowed what would normally be a calm campaign. A dwindling core of die-hard protesters remained holed up inside the now trashed Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Take a look. Hong Kong's last besieged protesters remain inside and high throughout the campus. 6 of them gave themselves in to the police after darkness fell. Now the last ones used the myriad of corridors and classrooms to remain hidden. Every day, the number of pro-democracy protesters at the university is dwindling. Trash and other waste fill the rooms, and remnants of confrontations are still visible around the campus. Now, many fear an unavoidable conflict as violence between protesters and police continues to escalate. Former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton said the White House denied him access to his Twitter account after his dismissal in early September in a series of tweets that signal his return to the social media site. Take a look. Since resigning as National Security Advisor, the White House has refused to return access to my personal Twitter account out of fear of what I may say, Bolton wrote on Friday. Now, prior to Friday's series of tweets, nothing had been published by Bolton since September 10, the day the U.S. President announced his dismissal. To those who speculated that I went into hiding, I'm sorry to disappoint, he added. The White House swept aside the charges, with spokeswoman Stephanie Grisham suggesting that Mr. Bolton simply didn't know how to use the platform. And violence in Syria continues to kill and maim civilians, with reports that at least 12 people were killed in missile strikes in the northwest and dozens more wounded, including children. And at least 10 children have died in the northeast, with another 28 maimed since October 9, following the Turkish military incursion into Kurdish-held Syrian territory, UNICEF Syria representative Fran Ekiza told journalists in Geneva. In 2018, the UN confirmed 1,106 children dead, linked to fighting in the nearly 9-year war, the highest number of children killed in a single year since the onset of fighting. In addition, around 74,000 people, including 31,000 children, remain displaced in the northeast, while an estimated 250 children are being held in detention centers. With less than 2 months until the year's end, the agency's emergency operations in the country are only about 60% funded. Of the $295 million required for 2019, the UNICEF has received around $180 million. The death toll from violent unrest in Chile has risen to 23 as the country entered its 5th week of social unrest. Take a look. Looting and demonstrations took place in cities across the South American nation, and an agreement on a political roadmap that will see Chile draft a new constitution has halted neither the anger nor the bloodshed. Furious Chileans have since October 18 been protesting social and economic inequality and against an entrenched political elite that comes from a small number of the wealthiest families in the country, among other issues. The crisis is the worst in 3 decades of Chilean democracy and has led to around 2,000 injuries, including some 280 people who suffered eye damage from shotgun pellets. The latest death was a 13-year-old boy who, an Interior Ministry official said, was run over by a van during protests in Arica, about 1,300 miles north of the capital, Santiago. Thousands of people gathered again on Friday in Plaza Italia, the center of the demonstrations in Santiago, and the site of weekly rallies that have seen massive turnout since the social upheaval broke out. Meanwhile, protesters picketed the home of Colombian President Ivan Duque on Friday, defying a curfew and the leader's promises of a national conversation on social policies following massive anti-government demonstrations that have left 3 people dead and dozens wounded. Starting next week, I will launch a national conversation to strengthen the current social policy agenda, working in a united way with medium and long-term vision, which will allow us to close the social gaps, President Duque has said in a televised speech earlier in the day. Hundreds of thousands of Colombians took to the streets in Bogota and other cities on Thursday to protest President Duque's economic, social, and security policies as part of a nationwide general strike. The demonstrators also denounced the slow progress in acting upon Colombia's 2016 peace deal with leftist revolutionary forces, or FARC, which officially ended 50 years of civil war that forced over 7 million to flee their homes and cost the lives of hundreds of thousands. The Colombian president is also accused of not protecting indigenous people and social leaders who are being murdered at an increasing rate. President Duque, who is facing demonstrations against his government across Colombia, has reportedly mobilized hundreds of soldiers to reinforce the security in the country's biggest cities, in addition to closing all border crossings to Ecuador, Venezuela, Brazil, and Peru. The resource-rich Pacific archipelago of Bougainville is holding landmark referendum on independence from Papua New Guinea, a vote that could create the world's newest nation. Take a look. Iglesia ni Cristo members conducted an Aid to Humanity event in Gstaad, Switzerland. John Kevin Glosser reports.
Je suis contente. Je me sens un peu plus sereine. Et ça me rapproche, c'est vrai, de Dieu.
At a recently held activity of the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ in Gstaad, Switzerland, sharing was the main objective.
So today's event, we had a Linga Pamahayag, or a evangelical mission, followed by an Aid to Humanity, which is an activity that was launched by the church administration to help our fellow men in their needs, and above all share with them the truth, the words of our Almighty God.
The event that took place at the foot of the Swiss Alps gathered members from the church congregations of Geneva North and Gstaad, who traveled and brought with them friends and family members. The sharing of care packages and also of the teachings inside the church gave warmth to those who were able to attend.
Ce qui m'a plu, c'est votre façon d'accueillir les gens, même si ils sont différents. Votre enthousiasme, votre respect et le bonheur que vous apportez pour vous et pour nous.
So living in Switzerland, like what was mentioned in the lesson, is one of the richest countries in the world, and people who live here, those who grew up here, and especially those who had the chance from another country to make it here, they focus in working, in making sure that they have a better life. But just like what we have studied in our lesson, what should be the main focus of people is to work for their salvation.
Le son, elle m'a permis d'approcher de Dieu aujourd'hui d'une façon extraordinaire. Parce qu'avec le discours qu'il a fait, les paroles, je me sentais très proche. Et ça m'a fait un bien fou d'être là. Je ne m'attendais pas à que ça sorte.
Teaching is in Iglesia is always based on the Bible, and where I grew up, it wasn't the same. I mean, I grew up doing this and doing that I didn't know it's not in God's word, it's not in His commandments. And now that I've been learning it, I've been trying to process it myself.
So the members of the Church of Christ who are here in Switzerland, we need to make sure that we share this truth to as many people as possible. Because for us, our greatest wealth in life is being a member of the Church of Christ. We consider this as our greatest blessing. So it is important that we share this to other people, to our fellow men, so that they also will have the chance to receive salvation.
The activity allowed its attendees to reflect on what matters in their lives.
The message that we gave to the guests today was the importance of the relationship between our Lord Jesus Christ and His body, which is the Church of Christ.
And for some of the attendees, this is the same message they wish to share with their own loved ones.
I want to encourage them to come and listen, because I can't really explain everything, but here they can explain it. They can ask questions and they're gonna answer it.
For Eagle News International Switzerland edition, I'm John Kevin Gloser, 1 with 25.
And the news continues here on Eagle News. We'll be right back.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Philippine Secretary of Labor Silvestre Bello III graced the opening of the Philippine Overseas Labor Office, or POLO, in New Zealand. A dialogue with the Filipino community leaders was held to address the concerns affecting the Filipino migrants. The Filipino community was grateful to President Duterte for promoting the well-being of the workers there. Our EBC correspondent in New Zealand, Greg Besa, is on with the story.
Philippine Overseas Labor Office, commonly known on its acronym POLO, operates under the supervision of the Philippine Department of Labor and Employment. It is mandated to protect, defend, and promote the well-being of overseas Filipino workers at their respective job sites abroad. Among other things, it undertakes activities on matters that are directly or indirectly related to the workers' employment, including their protection from any form of discrimination and exploitation. In New Zealand, there are thousands of overseas Filipino workers who are being employed at various sectors and industries across the country. Upon recognition of the crucial role of Polo in addressing the issues and concerns affecting the Filipino migrant workers, the Philippine Embassy in New Zealand, along with the Filipino community leaders and the workers themselves, had been longing for to be having a Polo in this country. After a series of collaborative undertakings between the governments of the Philippines and New Zealand, and between the Department of Labor and Employment and the Department of Foreign Affairs through the Philippine Embassy in New Zealand, the long wait is finally over.
Of our Philippine overseas
No other than the Philippine Secretary of Labor and Employment, Honorable Sylvester Bello III, graced the launching of Polo New Zealand on 17th November of this year, which was held at the Philippine Embassy in Wellington. This historic occasion was witnessed by other Department of Labor and Employment officials, the embassy officials and staff, and the Filipino community leaders. On his speech, Secretary Bello emphasized that the establishment of Polo in New Zealand is a gift from the Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte to the Filipino migrant workers in the country, whom he has valued and loved so much, just like the other overseas Filipino workers across the globe, due to their significant contribution to the Philippine economy. He also expressed his gratitude to the Philippine Embassy in New Zealand, particularly to Ambassador Jesus Domingo, for all the assistance extended in making the establishment of Polo a reality. The Administrator of Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, Honorable Bernard Olalia, who was also present during the launching, expressed his confidence that the well-being of the Filipino migrant workers in New Zealand would now be best served under the Polo supervision.
Po kami nandito ngayon ay para patayo o itatag yung ating Philippine Overseas Labor Office dito sa lungsod ng Wellington, bansang New Zealand. Ito po ay nagpapatunay kung gaano kamahal ang ating Pangulo, ang ating mga overseas workers, dahil sa inyo po ay napakalaki ang utang ng ating bansa sa inyo. Hindi dahil sa inyong paghihirap, pagsusumikap, ay nakatulong kayo sa ekonomiya ng ating bansa.
Ito ay isang patunay ng patuloy na pagmamalasakit ng ating mahal na Presidente at ng aming Secretary of Labor upang tugunan lahat po ng mga issues at concerns nila dito sa bansang New Zealand. Marami po tayong mga kababayang naririto at dahil po rito, bibigyan po natin ng tuon lahat po ng mga pangangailangan at lahat po ng kanilang mga problema patungo po at about the overseas employment.
On the other hand, Philippine Ambassador Jesus Domingo was pleased with the start of Polo in New Zealand as he warmly welcomed Labor Attaché Angel Borja Jr., who in return encouraged the migrant workers to avail of the services that Polo could offer to them.
We're very proud to announce the launching of the Philippine Overseas Labor Office for New Zealand and Pacific, to be headed by Labor Attaché Angel Borja. So this is something we've been praying and hoping for the past year, so we're very glad with the leadership of Secretary of Labor and Employment, Sylvester Bello, who came here personally together with the administrator of the POAA, Mr. Bernie Olalia, and his team to open up. So this is though a soft launching, so at least the Labor Attaché here is in place, but in the coming days we will announce the full launching of the office. So the actual physical office of the Polo will be located near the Philippine Embassy in Florida, so please watch out for the department. So this is a big step, so all the services that our kababayan here in New Zealand and Pacific normally before had to avail themselves of through our Labor Attaché in Canberra can be
the Philippine Overseas Labor Office here in New Zealand, and it's now open for business. Our Filipino workers who are here in New Zealand may come to our office anytime that they have any labor and employment related matters that you would like the labor office to provide them with assistance.
Right after the ceremony, Secretary Bello and PUA Administrator Olalia held a dialogue with the Filipino community leaders wherein problems, issues, and concerns affecting the Filipino migrant workers were discussed. Both officials were thankful to the support of the Filipino community leaders as they encouraged them to work with Polo in promoting the well-being of the workers. Some Filipino community leaders and migrant workers themselves were excited as they conveyed their gratitude to the Philippine government in establishing Polo in New Zealand.
I think it is quite good that we have the Polo here in New Zealand because it will actually help the overseas workers that we have in the Philippines, and also we have that capacity to be able to guide all the people that's coming to New Zealand, and also to be able to help those who are already in here and still applying for the residence.
Secretary Bello and President Rodrigo Duterte, thank you very much for granting our request for having a Polo office here in New Zealand. As we have a growing numbers of OFW here in New Zealand, we need the Polo office to make assistance for the OFW.
Maraming salamat po sa aming Pangulong Duterte sa pagkakaroon po ng Polo dito sa New Zealand. Malaking bagay po sa aming mga OFW na manggagawa po dito sa New Zealand. Lalo-lalo na po sa yung nag-a-apply, nag-change employer, hindi na po kinakailangan mag-submit sa Australia.
Polo is mainly based in New Zealand. It also has jurisdiction over the Filipino migrant workers in the independent state of Samoa, the Cook Islands, Tonga, and Fiji. Yet, despite the workers' territorial locations, Polo must reach them out and carry out its mandate at all costs. From Philippine Embassy in Wellington, New Zealand, this is Greg Besa. I am and will always be one with 25.
Thank you, Greg. The Specialty Equipment Market Association, or SEMA, announced its Best New Products Award winners at the 2019 show. Here's Lani Valtecantos for the report.
SEMA 2019 is the premier trade show event where the automotive specialty equipment industry gathered to showcase the hottest vehicles of the year. At this exclusive event, the day before the show floors officially open, we'll find out who will receive the much-anticipated SEMA Awards. Not specific to one exact vehicle, the awards represent the best business opportunities for vehicle customization in these 5 categories.
The 2000 SEMA Car of the Year is the Ford Mustang. The 2019 SEMA The Truck of the Year goes to Chevy Silverado. 4x4 SUV of the Year, with its 10th consecutive SEMA award, is the Jeep Wrangler.
Sports Compact Car of the Year,
Audi RS3. The winner of the SEMA Power Sport Vehicle of the Year is the Polaris RZR XP Ultimate.
Determined by the votes by show exhibitors, SEMA executives presented the desirable awards to winning automakers for having the vehicles with the most potential for aftermarket enhancements. The evening also included impressive vehicle reveals and an exhibitor appreciation reception, which gave a sneak peek of the variety of vehicles to be showcased. All in all, this evening combined top automakers and leading aftermarket manufacturers to launch the excitement of the upcoming events for these automotive enthusiasts.
Stay tuned for more updates for SEMA 2019 right here in Las Vegas. Reporting for Eagle News, I'm Lonnie Balticantos, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Lani. We'll be back with the health news right after this break. Stay tuned.
Tungkulin ng MTRCV ang mag-provide.
Net25 is now available on OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa.
I am here at Gastown, which is a National Historic Site in Vancouver, British Columbia. Located in Vancouver's oldest neighborhood is the steam-powered clock, which is Gastown's most famous landmark. Make sure to tune in to Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I am Lou Aquino, EBC correspondent, and I am 1 with 25.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he was here to listen at a lively White House debate on the very complex subject of vaping and the impact of kid-friendly e-cigarette flavors on youth. President Trump did not take sides, but he led an animated discussion on vaping for more than an hour. He peppered those in attendance with questions and engaged in sometimes heated exchanges. Let's listen in on to the discussions.
Time to do this. My name is Matthew Myers. I'm the president of the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. I've been working on reducing death and disease from tobacco for 35 years and youth use of nicotine products in the last 4 years, literally in the history of our nation. And at the same time, with the availability of the flavors, we have seen no increase whatsoever in the percentage of adults who use these products. The flavors have fueled youth use of these products, and what's particularly concerning is it led to a level of addiction.
It's not necessarily a flavor problem.
So what do you?
There are two unassailable facts. The youth problem is a huge problem, and flavors definitively contribute to it. But on the other hand, the other problem, which is macro to this situation, is that if you ban flavors, which there is some public health redeeming virtue to doing so, 100,000 Americans are going to lose their jobs. It's not disputed by anybody in public health. Their community and the vape shop community.
Actually, the number's higher, Mr. President.
Important issue, though. In other words, because I've been reading about a lot of death. Yeah. And the death really is from counterfeit, right? It's not from Juul. It's not from.
I don't think the science is there yet. I think that we need more data.
Well, it's actually, I do want to clarify for everyone's benefit, a lot of statements have been made about e-cigarettes and those as harm reduction devices. there has been no evidence presented to the FDA to that fact. Any manufacturer who makes that claim will be enforced against. And so you may think there's that evidence. That evidence does have to, and that is exactly the process the Tobacco Control Act requires, is bringing forth that evidence in the context of the pre-market authorization. That would be part of that process.
After announcing he was considering a ban on flavored vaping products in September, President Trump has eased off, at least temporarily, conceding to a vigorous lobbying campaign by the tobacco and e-cigarette industries. Many anti-smoking organizations and the American Cancer Society are urging the president to stick to his original proposal to ban all flavored e-cigarettes. President Trump expressed caution on that front, although he did say it would be logical to set a national vaping minimum age at 21, something 18 of the 50 U.S. states have done. President Trump has shown particular interest in Juul. The leading manufacturer of e-cigarettes in the U.S. has already stopped selling its mango and mint-flavored cartridge refills, which are popular among high school students. But it has defended its menthol products, retaining a flavor that is well known among American smokers. Throughout my entire sickness, I did not want to believe that it was the vapes. Gregory Rodriguez, 22-year-old computer science student, tells AFP 2 months after he was unconscious and hooked up to an artificial lung, an ordeal that brought him to the brink of death in just a few hours. Let's listen in.
When I first started to vape, I would just buy them on the street. You know, we just get some contact information, and generally they were about $40 a cart, $40 a cart. And but about a few months ago, I realized that I can buy cards on the online black market, and that allowed me to get 25 vapes for $400, which comes out to $16 a vape. I start to feel like very ill, start to feel very sick, like physically. The symptoms of a stomach virus, a stomach flu, it was vomiting and diarrhea, all the symptoms of a basic flu. Throughout my entire sickness, I did not want to believe that it was the vapes. It wasn't until I woke up after the 3-day coma that both the doctors and my mother told me what had happened and what caused me to be in the coma.
We were unable to use his lungs really to oxygenate him at all, and all of his oxygenation was done outside of his body. So I would say 70–80% of his lungs were damaged at the time he came to us. It takes smokers many years to develop the lung damage, and the lung damage they have is usually irreversible damage that doesn't get better. This seems to be more of an inflammatory response of some kind, very, very quick on onset, and seems to go away relatively quickly as well. So it seems to be a very different type of illness than longtime smokers get.
New York became the second state this week to sue Juul, the United States' largest electronic cigarette manufacturer, for illegally targeting minors with its marketing campaigns. The lawsuits come as the vaping industry faces intense scrutiny over an epidemic of lung ailments linked to e-cigarette use that has killed more than 40 people and sickened more than 2,000 in recent months. The New York action, which comes a day after California filed a similar lawsuit, accuses Juul of misleading consumers by misrepresenting its products as a safer alternative to traditional cigarettes on and off illegally selling to minors.
Today, the state of California, joined by the district attorney and the county of Los Angeles, is taking legal action against Juul, an electronic cigarette maker, for engaging in unlawful and deceptive business practices which have harmed Californians and are endangering lives, especially of our children. After a 21-month investigation, our lawsuit alleges that Juul targeted underage Californians with its marketing and sales practices of its nicotine-addictive vaping products. Today, 1 in every 4 high school students is using e-cigarettes, is vaping. Just 2 years ago, that number was 1 in 9.
Wait, it's hard to see in the freaking the sign.
E-cigarettes have soared in popularity among young people since they were introduced about a decade ago, and Juul sales represent more than 64% of all e-cigarettes in the U.S. The company has denied that its products, including mango, mint, and creme brulee flavored e-cigarettes, were aimed at minors. With more than half the world now at risk from mosquito-transmitted dengue fever, according to the World Health Organization, the United Nations has taken the lead on a global effort to eradicate the disease and many others by measuring the impact of releasing millions of sterilized pests across several continents. Take a look. Using a process known as sterile insect technique, or SIT, developed decades ago to target crop-eating insects in the United States, UN researchers have spent the last 10 years adapting it to mosquitoes. Working with the World Health Organization's Tropical Diseases Program, they have now drawn up guidelines for nations wanting to tackle disease outbreaks transmitted by the winged bugs.
What would be the global...
Several countries have already started, like Italy, Greece, or Mauritius, and others are on the point to doing it next year. For example, the United States, France, and Brazil. And we already have evidence that SIT is able to reduce the density of mosquitoes very significantly, and now we must prove that it will also impact the transmission of the disease. Sterile insect technique is an insect birth control method where you release sterile males that will outcompete the wild males in the field, and they will induce sterility in the females so that their eggs will not hatch, and so you will control the next generation. And if you do that for a long time enough, you will be able to reduce and even in some cases eliminate the target population. The important bottlenecks, which were sex sorting and drone release, are now solved, so we are ready for pilot testing.
Dengue, along with other diseases transmitted by mosquitoes, malaria, Zika, chikungunya, and yellow fever, account for about 17% of all infectious diseases globally, according to WHO. The agency is expecting 110 countries to report dengue cases this year.
Two major species of mosquitoes that are transmitting several diseases, which are viruses, including dengue, Zika, chikungunya, yellow fever, etc. But it is only about two species, Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus. Sometimes very low population of mosquito can still transmit disease. So what we have to measure is the impact on the people. And this is what we want to do, because it has never been done until now.
If successful, the potential health benefits could be enormous. Raman Velayudan, coordinator, WHO Department of Neglected Tropical Diseases, said.
Many countries in the world have reported an increase, mainly in, and we have reports from Bangladesh, Brazil, Philippines, and few African countries, and almost 10 other Latin American countries. Dengue has continued to increase.
Eagle News will be right back. Stay tuned.
With gorgeous white sandy beaches that stay cool to touch even on the hottest summer days, blue-green ocean waves, and the warm ocean breeze, there's no wonder why Dr. Beach has named Siesta Key Florida the #1 beach in the United States. Don't forget to watch episodes of Digital Next every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I'm Melissa Protest, coming to you from Siesta Key, Florida, and I am 1 with 25.
Accurate and fair reporting. Not only from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, but also abroad. Detailed and timely stories relevant to people all over the world. Catch all of these at Net25, your reliable source of news, entertainment, and technology updates.
Annyeong bonjour, konnichiwa, kumusta? Hello po to all of our viewers in the Middle East and in North Africa. I am Ate DJ and you can watch me and Teacher Sally here on Net25 Kids Live. You can catch me every Tuesdays and Thursdays on Anong Sa Inyo, and you can catch Teacher Sally every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on actually this set. This is the Kid Cuento set. We are inviting you all to watch Net25 through OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa. You can now watch Net25 shows on the OSN channel 725, aired on the same day as the Philippines. Watch your favorite shows live, on demand, anytime, anywhere, and on any mobile device on OSN Play. Here on Net25 and OSN, you're surely going to feel at home. Siguradong at home kayo dito. Again, I am Ate DJ and I am one with 25.
The best of Philippine culture will be showcased through spectacular performances at the historic opening of the 30th Southeast Asian Games at the 55,000-seater Philippine Arena on November 30. Take a look. With the theme We Win as One, the SEAGames opener will be a collaboration of the Philippine team and a foreign group, the Emmy Award-winning live content creator Five Currents, which will be directing and supervising the production numbers of various Philippine artists, production companies, youth groups, and different organizations that will highlight the Filipino spirit of bayanihan. Now, this will be led by Palanca Award winner, writer, actor, and director Floyd Quintos, together with national artists of the Philippines, Ryan Kebyab, plus US-based and Emmy Award-winning live content creator of Five Currents. Take a look.
Giving away anything. Ang lakas maka Super Bowl. Yung hindi mo nakikita, ay, Pilipino ba to? Ganda ha? Yung you feel so proud because it's seen through a different eye. And that's yun yung maganda sa collaboration, I think, ng Filipinos, ng Filipino team at ng foreign team. Ang ganda ng collaboration namin because they're teaching us to see it through a different eye. Pero yung root material, yung sayaw, yung ritual, atin pa din.
There will be 11 Filipino performers at the event, namely Lani Misalucha, Christian Bautista, Aichele Santos, KZ Tandingan, Ana Feji, and Jed Mandela, Elmo Magalona, Inigo Pascual, TNT Boys, and Robert Senya. Another highlight of the SEAGames opening program is the performance of world-renowned Apple the App of the Black Eyed Peas. Now, there would be performances by the Ramon Obusan Folkloric Group made up of 100 students from 12 different schools and colleges in Metro Manila. Now, 11 Filipino beauty title holders are in the opening ceremony, to be led by no other than Miss Universe 2015, Pia Wurtzbach. For the first time, state-of-the-art digital technology will be used, according to Ramon Tatsuzara, Chief Operating Officer of the Philippine Southeast Asian Games Organization or Organizing Committee.
In Philippine Arena, we focus more on a non-competition venue, which is the opening ceremony, and it is the most important event before the start of any competition, the Olympic Games, Asian Games, and the SEA Games. So I think we should highlight more on what the Filipino culture, storyline, or history in every opening ceremony. And there were questions also asking why the opening ceremony here, and the cauldron is in New Crack City. So again, these are new technologies. It never happened before. Kasi lahat ng opening ceremony natin puro outdoor. But for the first time, we are doing this indoor in the history of the SEAGames, number one. Number two, we are doing, I don't know, nakita naman nyo, we are doing like a digital type of opening ceremony. Walang fireworks dito, it will be digital. Ang fireworks andun sa kabila. And the cauldron will be lighted there. So, these are new things that first time tayo nagkaroon ng Artist Village, first time tayo nagkaroon ng world-class athletics and aquatics, first time din tayo nagkaroon ng opening ceremony which is indoor. So, it's something different. The different countries are excited what's in store for an indoor opening ceremony.
The official theme song of the event, entitled We Win as One, is sung by Miss Lea Salonga, and she said she was so excited to be a part of the event.
Like putting your ego aside for a greater cause, and the cause is it's our athletes, it's our venues, it's really making the effort to put our best feet forward. So I think we all have to be unified in that regard. After the games, sige, back again to what it was before.
The 30th SEAGames will be held from November 30 to December 11. It will be participated in by 11 nations: Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, of course the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. Now, there will be 56 sports events spread out over 4 main venue clusters in Clark, Subic, Manila, and Tagaytay.
A dream, actually, because you can do the lights all day and all night. It's a controlled environment. This is a beautiful arena. It's large. It's state-of-the-art. It's really been wonderful. Sometimes you're really racing the sun, because you can't program lighting during the day. So, you're like, oh no, the sun's coming up. We're not finished. But here you have that control of the environment, which is great. And the arena itself, they've been wonderful to work with. They're so accommodating for us and really have done, above and beyond.
Markel Fultz is fitting in nicely with the Orlando Magic. The former #1 overall pick had 19 points and the deciding defensive play in a 125-121 victory over the Washington Wizards. Our ABC correspondent Melissa Podes was at the game. Take a look.
Coming off a 40-point game, Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards hope to secure a win against the Orlando Magic, while the Magic look to extend their win streak to 3 after defeating the Spurs and the 76ers. In this high-scoring affair, the Magic sealed the win 125-121 with a game-saving steal by Markel Fultz late in the fourth quarter. The Magic were efficient, shooting 49.4% while receiving normal contributions from Nikola Vucevic with 30 points and 17 rebounds, and Evan Fournier's 25 points. Fultz continued to find his rhythm within the starting lineup as he scored a career-high 19 points.
When I make a shot, it just opens up everything else. I'm already, I feel like I got enough confidence and enough game to get to the paint whenever I want. And if I'm hitting, it's going to be a tough night.
Despite overall good defense by the Magic, the Wizards, led by Beal's 34 points, made a strong push to take the lead near the end of regulation.
The Brad Beal shot making in the fourth quarter was why people come to pay money to watch great players play. Because I thought our defense, without watching the film, was actually not bad. And he just made a bunch of shots that a great shot maker makes.
In the fourth quarter, with the Wizards mounting a comeback and the score 119-116, Fultz made a huge steal, driving in for the slam and one.
One of the tops, anytime I get a chance to make a big-time play, and especially in a clutch moment, he was up there for one of the tops.
He did what he was supposed to do, then made a terrific play, and obviously a great finish and a free throw.
With this win, the Magic improved to 4-1 at home. However, they have not found any success away from home. Their next 4 games will be on the road, beginning with a matchup against reigning NBA champs, the Toronto Raptors.
To get those wins against good quality teams, it feels good. We just got to take that momentum and get one on the road. I think we haven't won one on the road, so hopefully we start something going.
Reporting to you from Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, I'm Melissa Potes, always one with 25.
Embark on a journey through Hollywood-style sets and get to know Charlie Chaplin's story in this museum dedicated to one of the most impressive artists in the world. Our EBC correspondent in Switzerland, Theodoline Baisa, reports from Geneva.
Charlie Chaplin is an icon in the silent film industry, a great actor and director.
I shall always remember the top room at 3 Pound Hall Terrace, where I lived as a boy.
Chaplin still delighted the spectators and are known by many. With his famous mustache, bowler hat, and bamboo cane, he made wonders with his looks, expressions, and funny walk. Charles Spencer Chaplin was born in Walworth, London, England, on April 16, 1889. He was married 4 times and had 11 children. Some of his popular works include The Little Tramp, The Kid, Modern Times, and The Great Dictator. After his career in the United States, he moved to Vevey, a town along Switzerland's Lake Léman, where he passed away at the age of 88. For his contribution to the world of black and white cinema, Chaplin's world opened to the public in Vevey, a museum where we get to discover his life and go back in time through his greatest works and films. Chaplin's world consists of a walk through his private life in the manoir. A studio to travel through the world of silent films, a park in a beautiful setting, and a restaurant. It is open daily. Come and visit Chaplin's world for a trip back to the earlier years of black and white filming. Till next time, I'm Theodoline Baisa from Switzerland, and I am one with 25.
And Marco Alipio takes us to a manga fair in Barcelona, Spain. Marco?
Are you a fan of manga, anime, or just Japanese culture in general? Well, this fair is for you.
The word manga means Japanese comics. Anime or Japanese cartoons are often based on manga. The manga fair was attended by many comic lovers, anime fans, and cosplayers who wear their costumes to present a specific character. There were many stalls that sell manga comic books, different Japanese merchandise, stuffed toys, and Japanese food. There were many exhibitors of Japanese arts where you can experience Japanese traditions like wearing kimono, watching famous comic illustrators draw their masterpiece, and play traditional Japanese toys. The manga fair was not only for the young ones but also for the young at hearts. Event like this brings out the child within us.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Until next time, I'm Marco Alipio from EBC Barcelona, and I'm one with 25.
Thank you, Marco, and that's the news for tonight. Join us online and here again on Monday. From all of us here at Eagle News, I'm Alma Angeles, always one with 25. Good night.